drive your e-commerce sales up by 150% by deploying a simple survey technique that anyone can actually do in less than 5 minutes. My name is Daniel Chabert, and this is the e-commerce uptick. Today we're going to talk about this technique, which I've been using for so many of our clients lately, and it's been amazing to see what we have learned from simply surveying our customers. Now, this technique is something that's been around for ages, but still I cannot tell you how few times we actually see clients implement a friction score on their product pages, right? And the reason why you want to survey people is one of the most important lessons in life really is you always want to have a finger on the pulse. You always want to understand what your customers are thinking about your business. But it seems very confrontational, and I think a lot of businesses are afraid to ask that bold question because it is a bit difficult to hear the truth, right? But anyway, let's dive into how you can set it up. So if you have an e-commerce business, we are going to be using the 80-20 principle, which everyone knows by now. We want to get the most reward for the least amount of work we're doing. And we want to make sure that whatever work we're doing is actually worthwhile. So start by finding your 5 best-selling products. And if you only have 1 product, that's fine. Or you only have 3, that's also fine. But if you have tons, just go with the 5 best-selling products, because there's going to be data here and it can easily get out of hand. So you want to make sure that you're not overcomplicating it for yourself. Now, after you have found those products, you'll just list them in a sheet, and then you're going to be signing up for a service that can actually facilitate a survey. And we don't want to start coding a lot of things. We don't want to start making this complicated. So we're just going to be using a software that is cheap, affordable, and easy to deploy in minutes. And you can use probably 10 different ones, but the ones I found the best and the ones I'm using myself is Hotjar and Mouseflow. Now, Hotjar is a little bit better because it has more customization options. It actually means that you can deploy the survey when people are displaying an intent to exit your website, which I love, because often when people are trying to exit is when we actually want to ask them why they're leaving the site, why they're not buying our product. But once you sign up for any of these services, you can even use the free trial at Hotjar. I know they have that right now. Then you can go ahead and deploy the survey. So once you're logged into Hotjar, just go to the survey/feedback module. It's super easy to find. And in there, just go through the tutorial on how to set up a survey. But this specific survey that you set up, you'll want to set up for the actual product page. We call it basically a product page friction score survey. Sounds pretty advanced, but it's very, very easy. And the first question you'll deploy inside of your survey is literally just, is there anything holding you back from buying this product right now? Super, super simple question, but it's very powerful. And then you're gonna add an additional follow-up question if they say yes, because the answers will be yes or no. If they say yes, then you will ask what are the reasons holding you back from buying right now. And then they will list the specific reasons. They will have an open form where they can type in what is holding them back. We like to use open form because it allows people to write anything they want. So maybe they said that, I don't like how the website looks on mobile. I cannot navigate it well. Or maybe they're saying something about price or whatever it might be. But if you only give them 5 options and one of those options are not the ones that they're facing, then they will just abandon the survey, right? So open form is by far the best. Once you set that up, you basically have to start collecting the data and install it on your website. And with Hotjar and Mouseflow, you just install a little bit of JavaScript in the header of your code. You don't have to be a developer. If you're on Shopify, you can just go in and Google how to add JavaScript to your header, and then you can see exactly where on Shopify you install it. And if you're a bit more advanced, you can also use Google Tag Manager, where you can go in and set up everything in there, which is pretty good because it is basically going to slow down your site a little bit less. But nonetheless, you will want to do this no matter what. Even if it slows down your website a little bit, you cannot afford to not do this. This is the best way to increase your conversion rate, no doubt about it. So now you got the survey up and running. It's simple one question survey with a follow up if they say yes, and the JavaScript is installed on the website, and now you're collecting data. So what will happen now is when a user goes on your website to those 5 products, they will see a little pop-up with a questionnaire which will appear after a certain amount of seconds. We recommend always setting it around the average browse time for that product. So let's say people are averaging 20 seconds on the product page, then deploy it at around 20 seconds or a little bit before, just because you don't want to put it so fast on the product page that people cannot even understand what the product is about before you ask them the question. And now you're collecting data. So every single time someone fills out that form, it will go into your data source, into Hotjar, Massflow, whatever, and you can then analyze that information. And we have seen crazy high spikes in conversion rate from installing this on the site, because we've learned that the customer had a sizing chart that didn't make sense for their US customers. We've learned that the pricing was all wrong compared to the 3 biggest competitors. We have seen that customers do not like when there are no testimonials. They thought that it was a big risk. They thought the price was too high. They thought that there were no payment options available that was fitting for them. You will see everything, literally. And this is where you're going to be optimizing. Basically, what you're going to be doing is take all this data and create new designs based on that data. So let's say there is an issue with the price. People think it's too expensive. There are several ways you can go about this. If people think the price is too high, it's often because they perceive the value to be too low. So the price doesn't necessarily mean that you should just lower the price. It means you should increase the perceived value. And you can do this by illustrating the main benefits of doing it. So if let's say it's a pillow, and the pillow will help with back pain or neck pain, well, you could talk about what it means to your life quality if you no longer have back pain or neck pain, right? If you sleep better, you will be more efficient, you will be happier. So highlighting all the benefits, showing testimonials of people that have gone through this transformation is actually a way to deal with the price issue. And a lot of companies incorrectly think, oh, we have to lower the price, right? So that's not always the case. In most cases, it actually increases the value. But there are also specific price issues you can deal with by adding in a split payment option, Afterpay, Klarna, and so on. Or if it's a consumable good, we've seen really good results from highlighting the cost per day or the cost per usage every time you use the product, right? And they can be significantly lower, and actually people feel like, wow, it's super cheap, right? Or it could be the price per day. I love that, because when people buy, let's say, supplements, they like to see how much they're actually paying per day, which tends to be in the cents or in the low dollars, and that is pretty big. Now, that's just price, but there can be so many more issues. It's really important, and this is where most people go wrong. They create this survey. They don't really do anything with the survey because they're so busy running their e-commerce business that they don't have time to do anything about it. In this case, it's great working with somebody like us because we are just on top of this every day, and we actually create A/B tests, new designs based on the feedback that we're getting in the customer friction scores. But you can also do this in-house yourself. Just make sure you have a dedicated person that actually reviews the product friction score surveys every month and compiles a report and suggestions on how we should change the product page designs based on this feedback we're getting. So this is something you really need to set up automatically. So I suggest you use a to-do list or a project management system, because no employee can do this if they don't have a task that repeats itself every single month. So you need to be organized about it. And if you are organized, you can really see some crazy spikes in sales because of it. But I also just want to highlight that don't make this complicated. Set up the survey, do redesigns, potentially A/B test it if you had the capacity. If you cannot A/B test it, just implement design changes based on this. It could be changing the image gallery to highlight certain reviews. It could be adding stuff like icons under the add to cart that highlights the reasons why people have hesitations right now. It could be that you create an FAQ that basically addresses the hesitations people are having, holding them back. It could be that you install an app like Tollstore that is like a really interactive FAQ where the founder addresses all the anxieties and hesitations people have. There's so many things you can do. It's pretty easy to implement. Don't make it complicated. And if you do this, you should see really, really big spikes to conversion rate. So anyway, that's it for today's episode. Hopefully that was useful. If you found this useful, please leave a review of this podcast. It's just in its infancy. I really want it to grow. So if you can do anything to help, that would be really, really helpful. See you next time.